What's up guys, Manny from Motomillion. Another beautiful day here in Miami, and two beautiful Ducatis over here. They got something in common. It's this beautiful Akrapovic exhaust that this one has, and also this one has another Akrapovic exhaust. Both of them are slip-ons, and I think that's where the similarities of these bikes stop. Other than that, they're both Ducatis. But today I'm going to take this beautiful Hypermotard 698 for a ride because I haven't ridden it since it was completely stock. We've put the slip-on on it and other beautiful mods like this handlebar mod, our frame sliders, and some of these beautiful DBK touch-up pieces. But the biggest piece you don't see here that might make a difference on the ride is right under here. It's our Airbox lid cover that I want to see if I feel the difference of the so-called 15% horsepower gain that it's supposed to give to us. But we have this beautiful 2025 Panigale V4 over here because I also want to touch to a point when I'm riding to see this bike in the base model is $25,000 and the Hypermotard 698 in its base model is $12,500, which makes it exactly half the price. Is it half the bike? So let's go for a ride. Let's enjoy this beautiful Hypermotard 698 RVE, and let's touch on that point and also see if we see any differences with that Airbox lid. And I know we have a difference in sound with these beautiful dual Akrapovic slip-ons. Make a wish, it's 1:11 p.m. when I'm recording this. So these are our new mirrors too. So our little handlebar mirrors, they actually work pretty good. Let's get on the road and see. Bye bye V4. Right away, this bike feels so light. It feels like a bicycle after all these super sport bikes that we're used to riding. And the exhaust obviously makes everything more audible, that it has more noise. I don't know if I even hear that Airbox noise, like an intake noise that you would expect from cars when you put an intake. But let's get on the road, put some more miles, let this thing warm up. But right off the bat, this bike is just so fun just to do this, just to go around town. And I assume the owners of these bikes are mainly probably would use them to commute as well, especially given the price range. This is the RV model, but as I mentioned, a 698 in its basic form is $12,500. I know it's not cheap, but relevant in the Ducati lineup, I think it's the lowest priced bike if you don't count the scramblers as Ducatis. It's a little quick little acceleration. I love the Quickshifter in this thing. It works so good. And I'm happy to report these mirrors work really well. A lot of people are skeptical of it, but I could see my rear view clearly. Just one downside, if I may say, and this bike's hard to find a neutral in. There we go. The only downside is that when your mirrors are here or at the bar ends, you're literally either looking up to here or here, but when they're down here, you actually have to look down to see your mirror. And a single cylinder bike, as you guys know, this is a single cylinder, that's why it's called a mono. Kind of sounds funny to me a little bit, in a good way, you know. This is how little miles it has, 137 miles, guys. I gotta use this thing more. 162 on the temp gauge. And don't forget, it's not just about your coolant temp, but it's also your oil temp that has to come up in temperature as well when you're riding it. And I love the fact that this is all cleaned up here. This here, I know some of you guys deleted, it doesn't bother me, and I really think there's a reason why Ducati put it like this. It's got so much travel that this goes up and down. This doesn't bother me much, but the mirrors really bothered me. The pups are coming in. The bike is warming up, and I'm not even going to attempt to go on the highway with this motorcycle because I got no wind protection in the front. We'll just cruise on Biscayne Avenue in Miami in middle of February. 83 degrees outside, guys. Absolutely wonderful. So back to the topic that I said that I want to also bring up, that this thing is half the price of a Panigale V4, but is it half the bike? I think the buyers of these bikes are going to be very different people, right? I mean, if you have a Panigale V4 and want something fun, and that is on brand with Ducati, I'm sure you would love this. But in terms of what it delivers, right? Obviously it's got three less cylinders because the V4 is a 4-cylinder. This is a single cylinder. So you can't just say it's quarter of the bike because of 1 cylinder, but for what it does as a motorcycle in these conditions, it's easy to say it's not half the bike. And the horsepower wise, of course, it's maybe quarter of the horsepower. No, it's a little more than quarter of the horsepower. But I think in terms of fun in conditions like this one beats that Panigale V4 for sure. The Panigale V4 is more of it's your supercar, right? Hypercar that you would drive, if I can draw a parallel between cars. And this is probably your Civic Type R, maybe. And because this bike is not so powerful, you could actually go more than half the throttle in a setting like this and keep things in a safe manner. And since it's so light, the Panigale V4 obviously is not this tippy and this light. It definitely doesn't give you that fun factor that this would have in a city setting, that you could just throw it around, just cruise through the traffic legally, obviously. You know, I don't feel like pulling the clutch is that much of a discomfort, but it makes it a little more modernized, let's say. What all the big boys have are the quick shifters and flip downshift. That's that sound. It definitely has an intake noise. I don't know if it's coming up on camera, but this is what I'm talking about. You see, I could just get on the throttle there and not feel like I'm going to kill myself. Oh, the bike is warm and it's popping. I don't know if you hear it. It pops through the gears. That Akrapovic slip-on is not hugely loud, but I think it adds a little more sense of occasion to the ride as well, because it just makes it a tiny little more flavorful in terms of the noise it does. Let's go all the way to the front, guys, so that we can maybe get on the throttle in first and second too. You see, if you try that on the Panigale V4, I mean, I wouldn't even try it on this road, but it's totally different in terms of the power, and sometimes less is more, especially in settings like this. And I don't know what you guys think. You know, I think if you haven't ridden one of these, I bet you your Ducati dealer has a demo bike. Just go and ride it so that you understand how much fun this is. And that exhaust, even though, again, less is more, it doesn't make that crazy noise of some other exhaust, and doesn't make the crazy noise of that Panigale V4 with that Akrapovic slip-on. But it's definitely quite fun. Makes things a lot more interesting to ride. I don't know if I feel the difference, to be honest, with that airbox lid though. I hear the noise, but since it wasn't back-to-back riding, it's hard to tell that, hey, that airbox adds so much more power. I guess call me spoiled because of riding around with super bikes and hyper naked bikes. Glad this is not smell-o-vision, because it truly is the first ride, and if you've ever installed a new slip-on or an exhaust system on your bike, you know what I'm talking about. Kind of smells like all the stuff that's coming off the exhaust. I wish we lived in somewhere that has twisty roads, that we could go and have a little fun at least on twisty roads, but there's nothing like that around Miami. Everything is just straight and flat. Let's try to get on somewhere that we could get on the throttle, that we could see the difference. And also in settings like this, where I mentioned that you could just kind of go through the traffic. Where this thing shines. And the riding position, right? I know it's not a first ride that I'm bringing these things up, but again, I barely put any miles on this bike. Let's try to get on a causeway. Let's see how bad it is in the wind. But the riding position even is so much better than a Panigale V4. And if you have canyon roads, I bet you this is a lot less intimidating and a lot less involving in terms of skill level to ride in a Panigale V4 quickly, this makes it an amazing, I think it could be a starter bike even for that Ducati has. Before, I would say the scramblers are very cool, that they have stuff that anyone can start to learn on. The only barrier to entry with this bike as a starter bike, I think it might be the fact that it's so tall. That's what I'm talking about, guys. That was full throttle in 4th gear going uphill. I mean, I guess if someone is just new on a motorcycle, I don't recommend doing that, but there's not a whole lot of give in terms of the power. Let's go through the tunnel, but it's going to be pretty dark with this GoPro, so let's not go through the tunnel. But let's go around here. There's some bends, just 2 turns, so that we could enjoy the lightweight characteristics of this bike. But I'm happy to report that exhaust system, or the slip-on that we put on, it looks amazing. There's no denying that. But in terms of noise, I love it. I don't feel the difference of the Airbox lid. I guess this will be kind of fun on this bike if there was no Camry in front of us. And this is so light, it's so intuitive almost. It's almost like a bicycle with an engine. And I can't wait to take that Panigale V4 on a ride again, because we have some good mods coming up. We're waiting to do our Olin suspension on that. We're going to install our Marchesini. I don't think they're Marchesini actually. I think they're just forged wheels from Ducati that we're waiting on. So that's a little teaser for you on what we're going to do. Oh, there's construction here, so we got to be careful so we don't have any dirt. This is a kind of a local hangout spot, or used to be the local hangout spot for motorcyclists before. You get the view of Miami. I don't know if you're hearing the pops and bangs that this thing does. When I get back on the causeway, I'll go through the gears so you could hear it. I don't think the stock exhaust was doing that, getting pops every time you shift, even though this has the dB killers on it right now that we can't even remove. Maybe we'll pass this guy if possible. Randomly stopped on the road. Let's try it. I don't think the pops are coming on camera, but that was 2nd to 5th gear full throttle, and we're going to speed of traffic. That's what I mean on how controlled fun this is. And this doesn't have any of the advanced electronics because we don't have the race exhaust. I know it has some wheelie control and stuff, but it's so manageable. That was full throttle on 2nd gear, guys. They've changed the road around, that's why I'm driving like I don't know where I'm going, but there's a big construction project here. But gathering my thoughts, I love the exhaust. The Airbox lid, I don't know if I could tell the difference of 5 horsepower even on a lightweight bike like this, a bike that doesn't make as much power. So we'll believe the dyno videos. There's definitely an induction noise that I hear, and the mirrors work great. Obviously we didn't ride this bike after our handlebar setup, so, and the exhaust definitely adds to the riding character or the excitement that you get from this, because nobody wants to ride a stock bike in terms of noise, because these bikes are so dumbed down in terms of volume with all the regulations and everything that's in place. And we still can't find, oh, there you go. You got to have that little touch. Now it's red light. Let's see if I can show you the bike one last time before I let you guys go. But this was a quick ride video just to get the itch out of this exhaust system that you guys are seeing. Sounds so much like a dirt bike. And this thing just looks beautiful. We got some more stuff coming out for this bike that we're going to do some carbon fiber. And this exhaust heat shield is the matte satin carbon fiber that I read some of your comments. You say it doesn't match. I know it doesn't match, but that was kind of intentional. I want to have some layers, right? This is gloss, this is matte or satin, and it kind of plays on with the colors. It's not the first time that we did it, but all of these plastics you see, we're going to be replacing it with carbon fiber. But this thing looks really cool, and if you haven't ridden a Hypermotard 698 Mono, go ahead and ride one. You won't be disappointed. You actually might end up spending money. So that's pretty much it, guys, for this video. This was a quick little ride after the exhaust system, and was an honest opinion on if this is half the bike or not. I don't know if anyone is cross-shopping these bikes, but it definitely is not half the bike. And if you're cross-shopping, and maybe don't buy the S model of the Panigale V4, which is $33,000, and pay 25, 8 grand less, and put that 8 grand towards a Hypermotard, because they're totally different riding bikes, and they feel totally different when you're on them. Depending on your mood, these both will satisfy your itch for riding a very cool and exciting motorcycle. But if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Until next time, guys, have a good one.